It was in 1984, during the first time that I had the opportunity to travel to Europe, that I went to a town in the centre of France, a town named Paris-le-Monial. The town has a majestic Romanesque church, but I was drawn to a small chapel in the side street, a chapel of the convent of the Sisters of the Visitation. It was there in that chapel on December the 27th, 1673, that the Lord appeared to a young nun from that community. She'd remained back in the chapel after night prayer. It was the feast of St. John the Beloved. And Sister Margaret Mary Alacoque was in personal prayer before the Blessed Sacrament. The Lord appeared to her, and she described her experience in these words: I was praying before the Blessed Sacrament when I felt myself wholly penetrated by that divine presence, but to such a degree that I lost all thought of myself and of the place where I was, and abandoned myself to the divine Spirit, yielding up my heart to the power of his love. This humble nun was absorbed, transfixed in a profound personal experience of the presence of God, of the love of God. Then we hear really echoes of what St. John the Beloved described of his moment of personal intimacy with the Lord during the Last Supper. Sister Margaret Mary says, "He made me repose for a long time upon his sacred breast, where he disclosed to me the marvels of his love and the inexplicable secrets of his sacred heart, which so far he had concealed from me." And then she adds, "Then it was that for the first time he opened to me his divine heart in a manner so real and sensible as to be beyond all doubt, by reason of the effects that this favour produced in me. Fearful as I always am of deceiving myself in anything that I say of what passes in time, it seemed to me that this is what took place. The Lord revealed his sacred heart to Sister Margaret Mary. And in later apparitions, the Lord would appear with his sacred heart visible to her. And Sister Margaret Mary would be asked then by the Lord to promote a devotion to his sacred heart. The image of the Sacred Heart is an image that I'm sure we're all very familiar with. Like the statue over here in our cathedral, so many churches across the world will have a side altar devoted to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And the image that we see there is a representation of the image that Sister Margaret Mary witnessed. I visited this small chapel in the side street of Paris-le-Monial on a number of times during the intervening years. I've spent time in that chapel, imagining where the humble nun had been and where the Lord would have been as he appeared to her. What constantly runs through my mind is that this was a revelation of love. The immense love in the heart of Jesus for all of humanity. A heart on fire with love. Sister Margaret Mary was shown the heart of Jesus. She was shown a heart of Jesus surrounded by a crown of thorns, because it was a heart that was prepared to suffer for humanity. It was a heart that carried the wound caused by the soldier's lance. It was a pierced heart. And from this heart, pierced, would flow out blood and water, interpreted by the fathers of the church as a sacramental life that would flow upon all believers. This heart, burning with love for sinful humanity, would be the heart that would release the merciful redemption of humanity and a saving grace available to all. On one occasion, during one of the apparitions to Sister Margaret Mary, the Lord said to her, "Behold this heart, which loves so much and receives so little love in return." And these words continue to haunt me to this day. When I gaze upon an image of the Sacred Heart, I see a heart with so much love. Indeed, when I gaze upon a crucifix, I see this love personified in the most radical way possible. Today in the Gospel, which we have just read, we hear Jesus saying to us, "Come to me, all you who labour and are overburdened, and I will give you rest." I think in these words we find an expression of the yearning of the heart of Jesus to let his love flow into the lives of those who struggle and suffer, those who find that the trials of life are overwhelming. Because this is a heart full of compassion. And Jesus knows our burdens and aware that our burdens at times can seem to overwhelm and crush us. So he reaches out to us with such simple words. Come to me. Come to me. But there's something more. Not only does Jesus want to pour out his love upon us, but he invites us to something actually that's more wonderful. In the apparition to St. Margaret Mary, he asks her to give him her heart. Listen to how she describes what happened. After this, she says, He asked me for my heart, which I begged him to take. He did so and placed it in his own adorable heart, where he showed it to me as a little atom which was being consumed in this great furnace, and withdrawing it thence as a burning flame in the form of a heart, he restored it to the place whence he had taken it. I think we can imagine this. So we can take a piece of metal and place it in a furnace, and it glows red hot. Then removed from the furnace, it continues to glow. Her heart was set on fire from the divine heart of Jesus. The Lord said then that this fire would remain always within her. Jesus invites us, urges us, as we heard in the Gospel today. Come to me, all you who labour and are overburdened, because his love is so full of love, and he yearns to bring us comfort in the midst of our sufferings. But more than this, the Lord invites us to give our hearts to him, not only to receive consolation in times of trouble, but he wants to light a fire in our hearts, in the hearts of those who are willing to give their hearts to him. And this is a fire that will never go out. So Jesus says to us today, come to me. So let us indeed come to him with our burdens and anxieties. But also let us accept his invitation and offer our hearts to him. If we are willing, let's allow our hearts to be set on fire with his divine love.